Greetings, the What It Takes Radio Company, helping you reach your audience, bringing your message to life, maybe a touch of immortality. Another edition of the Interesting Ideas podcast where we try and help you be more interesting and more attractive. That's right, we do. You will attract more people. Hey, remember that the Super Bowl is the ultimate fantasy football game. It really is. It's just a fantasy football game. However, there are some things you can learn about life and business from the big fantasy. Let me tell you a little bit about that. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, it's Tuesday. This is Stan with Interesting Ideas. And yes, you read the title right. Remember, it's the ultimate fantasy football game. Here we are. What is happening is everything is speeding up. Those of us who remember Star Trek, that they talked about warp speed. Now, I think warp speed was, it was warp 1, it was the speed of light, and warp 2 was warp speed doubled, or maybe squared. So warp speed was that incredible speed that you could go. Well, they're not going warp speed, but there really is, and this is good to watch out for. Things are going to speed up. Trump works hard, fast, and quick. And more things are going to change hard, fast, and quick. A lot of people are not going to like it. That's for sure. It will be very difficult for a lot of people to adjust to the speed. Plus, the speed is being, you might say, enhanced, maybe aggravated, or simply making things harder to deal with, is that the AI phenomenon is growing by leaps and bounds. As I pointed out, I found a number of things that have been very helpful to me that I know as a business performance coach are going to be very, very hard on certain lines of work. A lot of the government people are afraid they're going to be put out of work. No question about it. First of all, we're going to find out that a lot of those things we don't need and we don't want, and now someone's out there to get them. But on the other hand, there are going to be a number of things that we may need, but we don't need those people to do them. I have a friend who I'm just going to have to tell her that, I know what you do, and I know that they will not need you to do that in the future. I'm sorry. So let's make some adjustments about what we do and where we are. So that's all happening. And what I'm finding more and more is that certain people who actually have more and more, I think of Victor Davis Hanson, who is well known as a brilliant writer and pundit and analyst. And he's actually known for the quality of his work in a variety of areas. But he's occasionally does a commentary, or he is a guest on a program. But those same kind of people are now taking over their own deals. They're having their own shows. And for instance, Davis Hanson, who wrote a great deal and then showed up occasionally, is now doing almost a daily 7 to 10 minute commentary, which is well done. He's bright and brilliant, and it's a way of enhancing his influence. And of course, it'll eventually sell more of his books. So more and more people are not only speeding up their performance, they are speeding up their involvement, both in artificial intelligence and in their use of the streaming media. And there's all kinds of ways to do it. Just like you all know, this office is not real. This is a fake office. But I can do almost anything and put together a variety of situations that we just use the stuff that we have that can create fantasies. Well, that's what led me to thinking about maybe how I would segue to the Super Bowl. I remember I remember watching the first Super Bowl. And I think the second or third Super Bowl when the Vikings played. And I think they haven't played in many since then. And they haven't won ever. So for those Minnesota Vikings, it's kind of like being a Chicago Cubs fan years ago. Hey, the situation is that it was kind of an experiment. The championship of the American Football League, which was kind of a rival to the National Football League, and they realized that maybe they should come together, and eventually they did. But they put together the game, and it was a football game. It was on Sunday afternoon, and it was for the Lombardi Trophy, but there wasn't a great deal of fanfare about it. It was exactly what it is now. It was just a football game by two good teams, maybe not the best teams, but they were the ones who had survived, and it was a football game, and one side won and the other side lost, and the winners were happy and the losers were unhappy, and they made a bit of money on it, more than they normally made. So that was nice. Now, of course, it is a week-long fantasy experience. And of course, the game, is now highlighted and hurrayed, and the analysis begins long before, and it becomes a complete day of analysis, and then afterwards, and you name it. So, but it's just a football game, my friends, just a football game. And it will not change your life. It will not make you better or worse. If your side that you're, for loses, okay, it lost. The sun will get up tomorrow on Monday, and you'll still have to go back to work. In fact, if you partied too much, it might be kind of hard to get to work. They're thinking maybe of making it kind of a national holiday afterwards because people celebrated too much and partied too much, and they don't need to go back to work. I don't think that's a very good idea. Remember, we have made it into a fantasy experience. So enjoy it for what it is, but remember what it is not. It's not important. It's just a football game. However, what has happened, and I've used this for a number of years, what happened is the commercials become, they say, whoa, I got a big audience. And they do have a big audience, probably 100, 115 million. And so what happened is that people thought, well, if I wanted to reach a large audience, I should advertise on the Super Bowl. And they began to charge, premium rates to be on the Super Bowl. Now it's more than premium. Now it is outlandish rates for having your ad on the Super Bowl. Millions of dollars for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, whatever. And whether it's the first quarter or the fourth quarter, or whether you do it 3 times, or whatever the case might be. And companies spend millions of dollars both in the production of the ad and then, of course, for buying the time on the program. And that's become kind of the contest. It might be is for a lot of people, it's to watch the commercials, and then they start to evaluate which one they like the best and all of that. And then there's conversations and discussions and all kinds of things about the commercials. And I say, people, those are just commercials. They're just commercials. It means nothing important. Entertaining, maybe, but it's just about commercials. It is the ultimate fantasy day in which we do nothing that's important. Unless maybe you went to church or went to synagogue before, or whatever. You did something besides the football game, and that might have been important. Okay. Hey, but there's one thing that I taught people from that. Say, what would you do if you had the opportunity for you and your business to be on the Super Bowl. And the reason I play that game with companies is I say, okay, think about it. And I have a way of kind of making it dramatic, like your great uncle who you like, he was so proud of you for starting your own business, and you get word that he's left you $10 million and say, oh, hooray. But then you get the word that he said, well, if I gave you the money, this is what he says in his will, if I gave you all the money, you just go out and waste it. So what you've always said, that if you could just get in front of enough people, you could sell them and your business would grow. So, hey, I bought you a commercial on Super Bowl Sunday, and that means you have a chance to reach 100 million people. Got 60 seconds. Be good. And the exercise is, and it's very good. If you know how to do it, which most people don't, but the pros do, and I can help you with that. I would say, what would you do with your 60-second Super Bowl commercial? And that will be a very incredible exercise for you to get to the point. And we're not talking about this elevators, no, it's not your elevator story. That's baloney. You don't do that. This is, if you had the opportunity to really get in front of people and tell a story that would draw them in which they would be interested, maybe attracted, maybe they would reach out, make a connection, and maybe they would actually buy your product. And so they're very creative. Many of the ads are very creative. Some of them are just downright stupid, but many of them are very creative. In fact, some of them are so creative because they want to win the creative contest that nobody knows what the product is. So they don't sell anything. They just won the best commercial. And as many advertisers will tell you, is oftentimes the most the simple commercial with authenticity and personality and connection. Those kind of commercials work. Most of the Super Bowl commercials never pay for themselves. They just don't. So, but the exercise of doing, the idea, okay, here, just remember now, YMCA, AIDDA, AIDDA. You have 60 seconds to get their attention, keep them interested, paint a picture of something very desirable, tell them what the deal is, and how they can take action to get it. Attention, interest, desire, decision, action. So there we go. So I would encourage you to remember that, okay? That even though it's a fantasy game and fantasy commercials, please keep in mind, and I'd be glad to help you figure out, if you had to tell your story in 60 seconds that might actually bring people into your business, what would you say? Who are you? What do you do? And how can you help them live a better life? I'm done. No more fantasy. But think about that. I can help you do the kind of marketing, and the best kind of marketing is still knowing the formula, but it's being real, authentic, and maybe just a simple story will do. Because everybody loves a story, a good story. Just tell a story. Think about that. Best and blessings. May you have a week that no matter who wins or loses the Super Bowl, you'll have a good week. All right. All the best. Bye for now.